Good evening, everyone. Thursday night here on the channel. That means Redline Racing, Cory Harts Media Premier Series racing action for the last time during season number 5. It's championship night here in Homestead, and we're looking to crown our season champion here. 5 drivers coming in, hoping to name themselves that champion, looking to unseat Cole Williams, your defending champion from season number 4. A lot of things to talk about here, and even a preview of season 6 coming up tonight. And myself and Cody Webster will bring you all that action here. Cody, what are you expecting out of this race? Coming up on 3 minutes left in practice right now. Nick Miller comes in as points leader and holds the top of the leaderboard in terms of speed here right now.
I think track position here tonight is going to be key because I ran a few laps out there, and the track seems like a predominantly, especially on new tires, the outside groove. Now, we know at a lot of tracks, like the 1.5 mile track, when you decide that you run the outside early on in the run, you lose grip on those tires quickly. So, honestly, I think track position, where you place your car on the track, is just staying out of trouble to get to the end.
Nick Miller, 3 wins so far this season. Bristol, Phoenix, and Nashville Super Speedway. It's been a while since that 19 has been to victory lane. Very different from the likes of Brody Gardner, who finds himself in a bit of a hole coming into tonight's race. 13 points behind first place. 7 wins this season, a number of them, nearly a half dozen, coming at 1.5 mile ovals. Chicagoland, Atlanta, and Charlotte all victorious for him, but he has some work to do here.
Definitely, and Brody, unfortunately, in his last round had a lot of misfortunes. He even ran well last week, but just couldn't. He cut in on the lead on Nick Miller a little bit, but at the same time, still far back to where he's going to have a miracle here tonight in order to get his second championship, and in his dominating season he's had so far. So definitely going to be a uphill battle for him tonight if he gets up there to take the championship.
Definitely. Jordan Coons finds himself 14 points behind Nick Miller entering tonight's race. 1 win so far this season. One of the few drivers in the playoffs to win during a playoff race back at Dover earlier this season. And now trying to find a way to get a little speed out here as we look toward the end of this race and this practice session, and look toward the race rather. He's got some work to do as well. Not too far away from Brody Gardner. A point separating them, but they have over a dozen to try and close up on the 19 tonight.
Over a dozen. If you look at the top of the leaderboard, Nick Miller is the fastest right now, so he definitely came out here and showing what he has. Obviously, we don't know how the track's going to change, how the cars are going to change, what groove they're going to run at the end of the race, but currently right now, it's an uphill battle for everybody but Nick Miller.
Sartaj Mann, currently on pit road, enters this race 9 points outside of the championship lead. And for him, he's got to be thinking about the importance of getting stage points here. Being able to put that 49 car in the right position, and maybe hope that the 19 faces some traffic during the course of a stage and is unable to get some of those points. But for him, right now, 3rd fastest on the scoring chart. There's some speed there, but maybe a little more to try and catch up with Nick Miller.
Yeah, I think Sartaj Mann's had speed all season. Probably not as fast as the top guys in the top 5 in points right now, but definitely been there at the end of these races. He usually keeps his car clean, and he's going to have to do that here tonight, but probably maybe be more on the aggressive side to get those stage points to really outduel Nick Miller.
Finally, the last driver in the playoffs, currently waiting for him to get to the track there. Brinkley, driver of the 98, 2 wins so far this season. Also won in the playoffs at Richmond Raceway. He has a lot of work to do, nearly 24 points behind. And we talk about that phrase, not being able to control your destiny, and that's where we are now coming into this final race. It's been a great season for Blaze, but he enters tonight with a lot of work to do and a lot of luck he may need to be able to make this thing work. 21 points behind Nick Miller.
It's a very unfortunate last round, but he's still there. Anything can happen, and he's going to race hard. We know that.
Absolutely. So now we begin the qualifying session here at the track, and we'll wait for some of these drivers to begin filing on to the banks of Homestead Miami Speedway as we get ready for qualifying. What did you experience when we were out there running on this track, getting some practice laps in? What is this track like right now, and how do you think the track is going to change as this race goes on?
Well, we're going into nighttime, so we know it's going to change. Probably going to be more grip on the track. Probably the temps are going to drop a little bit. As far as the track now, currently starting the race, it has almost like a pushy, loose feel on new tires. So definitely going to be a little more challenging on the guys how hard they push the tires early on and how much they can get out of them. So you're going to probably see majority of these guys run these fast laps in qualifying on the outside, right against the wall. And you don't want to clip that wall because basically not allow you to get that lap in. But that's where I think the race is going to start. Where it ends, I could see it migrating down to the bottom. And we do have Parker White in here, and Parker White knows how to save his tires on different parts of the track where everybody else is not using. So it's going to be interesting to see what lines they use, but that's what I got out of practice. It's tight, loose, and a handful right now, I can tell you.
Latham Joyner had a great one back at Iowa Speedway, getting himself a top 10, and now showing the speed here, catching the wall, though. That's going to be something we'll be watching a lot of tonight, seeing how these drivers really thread the needle here. We watch the guys in the Cup Series and the Xfinity Series run right up next to that walls, stripping the paint off these walls here at the track, and it's something you have to really master here, riding the razor's edge around this track. It looks like maybe Nick Miller having some issues with qualifying. We'll get our eyes on another one of our championship contenders, the 49 Sartaj Mann, working his way around turns 1 and 2. But as I was saying, you really got to ride a fine wire around here next to that wall, because that's where the speed is, but obviously that's where the danger lies as well.
Definitely, it like I said, it's tight going into the corner, tight center, and then once you come, like I guess if you see from the shot looking at turn 2, you come at turn 2, you kind of come down the banking running that high, so your back end of the car actually wants to kick out, and it is a handful. So it's really, you got so much wheel in it trying to get it to turn because it's so tight in the front, and all of a sudden your back end just kicks out. So these guys are having a handful just to qualifying. We're not even in a race yet.
Yeah, and you see Sartaj Mann brushing the wall there on his second lap. Looks like he'll have to settle for what he ran there for his first lap of 33.92 for him. As we got our eyes on another one of our drivers contending for the championship, Jordan Coons in the 99. Has found speed here on these oval tracks. Prior to his win back at Dover earlier in the season, his last victory came at Michigan International. Obviously, a different kind of racetrack, but in terms of oval performance, the 99 has gotten really sporty on these tracks, and tonight is the night to lay it all out there and try and show those skills here to maybe try and win a championship or be part of the top 3 steps of the podium at the end of the season.
Yeah, definitely. You see Jordan Coons taking a way different approach to this track, running a lower in 1 and 2, not as high as everybody else, and definitely a low line in 3 and 4, and see how it pays off here. He actually goes up to P2 on the board behind Brody Gardner, so good lap for him. We're seeing a lot of guys slow down from their practice laps, so maybe the track has already changed and is in that weird transition going into night.
Absolutely. Blaze Brinkley now working his way around this track, coming to the start-finish line to take his first lap here. And like we mentioned, he's another one of these drivers who's been pretty good on these ovals, but bad luck striking him. Most notably, that jumps out to me, that race back at Atlanta, where he had some solid pace there, but ended up having a collision with Landon Mills as the 25 was making his way onto pit road. Unfortunate luck for him. Blaze Brinkley now trying to find something here, part of the championship picture here in the Premier Series. Not a stranger to this kind of situation, though. Remember, a few seasons ago, he was part of the Truck Series championship race there to try and win a title in that series.
Yeah, Blaze is showing speed everywhere. He is not used to these big body cars. He complains a little bit about them, but definitely a trooper. Definitely shows speed, and definitely obviously got himself to the top 5 in points to get himself at least a shot at something at the end of the season. So kudos to him, and he definitely and putting it all out of the line as he jumps to the slowest of the cars that currently qualify right now, right behind Nick Miller.
Yeah, Nick Miller.
No Allison now.
Yeah, Nick Miller leaping to the top of the leaderboard there with a great second lap from him, a 33.81 to take the pole there, knocking Brody Gardner down to the second position and Jordan Coons back to third. So your top 3 currently those championship contenders, and it feels like we're watching what we see sometimes when we're watching the real guys contending for the championship, particularly here. You see them all coalesce right around the top of the qualifying order, and that's happening here right now.
Oh yeah, definitely the fastest guys rise to the top, and we're seeing it. They're putting it all out of the line, so it'd be interesting how they attack this race going into the earlier laps, knowing that the track will change.
Absolutely. So now qualifying should be in its final moments here, which will allow Nick Miller to go ahead and call himself the pole winner for our final race of the season. Season 5 coming to an end. It feels like we just got started back at Daytona International Speedway a few months ago, but coming to an end here tonight. But our last pole sitter for the evening will be Nick Miller, as the field looks to grid up here on the front stretch around pit road. There we'll wait for our pole sitter to join us. That'll give us a chance to talk about our race preview for this evening. So 134 laps around this beautiful facility. You know, Cody, remember when this place used to be pretty flat all around and they put that progressive banking in the early 2000s? You know, this place has a lot of history to it, and they'll take to this track to set some history here this evening. 1.5 mile oval here in Homestead, Florida. 18 to 20 degrees of progressive banking around this track. 4 sets of tires waiting for them on pit road, and then Your stage length 34 laps, and those would be very important 34 laps for some of our playoff drivers here as they look to try and cut into the lead, currently held by our pole sitter, Nick Miller. And, that's going to help his cause here, already getting a one-up on his competitors, gaining one more point entering tonight's race. So obviously, before qualifying, he already came in with 9 points ahead of Sartaj Mann. Now go ahead and add one more point to his count.
And if he leads the lap, that's another one, so that could add up quickly.
Absolutely. Previous race winner at this track, Dylan Alt. That name should sound familiar to you guys who follow the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. He finished in the first position way back in March of 2021, Season 4. It's been a while since we've been to this track. Feels good to have it as our season finale venue. And of course, as we always do, we like to give our pole sitter that time to shine, and it was Nick Miller. Starting on the front row for tonight's race, a 33.81 will get him that first position. And as I get ready to get going here, let's go ahead and take a moment and reflect on this season, how great it's been, but also look forward toward the upcoming season. And we can go and show you, as we mentioned last race, here's your schedule for Season 6. You'll see it there. And we'll be off for about a month or so. We'll be back first week of March to go and have some racing action here with the Clash at Daytona. We're not going to the Coliseum, even though I did pitch it. I think maybe one day down the road we'll do it for fun, but not on the schedule here. But we'll be going to Daytona here in only a few weeks' time, about a month off. And then you see those gold highlighted races. Yeah, Circuit of the Americas. You got Bristol Dirt back on the schedule and Indianapolis Oval. And the playoffs a little bit different this go around. We'll have 14 drivers contending over 6 races to decide our series champions. So a really good looking schedule here, and proud to have Cory Harts Media and Landon Mills Paints on board as presenting sponsors here for not only the series, but also some races on the upcoming schedule.
Definitely happy to have them aboard, and definitely ready to get into the next season once we get through the next month, start the next new season, and see what top drivers we have over there. It'll be interesting to see.
Absolutely. We always draw some great faces here, but tonight we have to decide who is going to be the Season 5 Series champion. The decorated nature of these drivers here in this series throughout the season. So many different winners. You saw the graphic we had on the screen while we profiled them. 12 different winners this season. That's a new record for the Redline Racing Premier Series since its inception. Who will chalk their name up as the final winner of Season 5? We'll find out. Pace car makes its way into the pits. We're waiting for the green flag one last time. It's in the air. The champion will be decided tonight at Homestead. Working through turns 3 and 4, and you already see the 55 sailing up to the high side of the track to find some speed, facing a challenge from Jordan Coons. All while the 19 gets to lead lap number 1.
Nick Miller did a good job. I didn't think starting on the inside there was actually going to be key, as Brody Gardner tried to send it into the corner, and obviously that didn't work too well, but he might give up a position here to Jordan Coons coming up turn 2. But Nick Miller starting on the inside, I was actually curious how that's going to work, because I knew the outside was going to kick in, but just didn't seem like Brody had enough speed up there to keep up with him.
Quickly becoming single file here with the 3 right in the middle of things. There's Latham Joyner. He got a 6th place finish back at Iowa. Now looking to build on that here, at least early on. He's been pretty good at this track here when we've watched him in seasons past. He knows how to run these ovals, and he's doing a good job here, at least early on.
Definitely running really well. We've seen him run well last week until the end of the race where mayhem happened, but definitely had a great run, and even the week before too. So he's been solid as of late coming back, and I know he's running next season, so it's great to see him have some speed and maybe work his way towards Season 6.
Absolutely. Riding along with him as we get single file early on into this race, 3 laps in, coming to lap number 4. And we know you got out there and got some practice on this track to at least get a sense of how this facility is going to drive. How soon do you think we might start seeing some multi-groove racing, or do you really think this is just going to be one lane is going to prevail at one part of the race, and then the other side is going to come alive as we go further into the night?
Honestly, I just think that as the air temp cooled down, the track cooled down, and the lights come out, I really think the track's going to change. We'll start seeing the outside maybe work, and maybe start seeing some side-by-side battles. Right now, maybe these guys are just taking it easy to get through these laps. know it's a long race, but we actually see a battle for the lead right now heating up between Coons and Nick Miller as they're blocking and not blocking at the same time. So maybe they're not calmed down, but I definitely think it will be coming in later in the race. But right now, obviously, these guys are just maybe taking it easy or just trying to burn off their stuff so early.
Yeah, absolutely. Watching Jordan Coons close the gap here and apply some pressure to the back bumper of Nick Miller. You know, one thing about Jordan Coons we've seen throughout this season is he really is able to find speed early, but he has also had challenges where the car falls off from him as that run goes from being a short run to a medium to long run. And hopefully, I'm sure he's hoping that that trend does not continue here. He seems to have been able to remedy that over the last few races and now looking to take the challenge to the 19 coming off turn 2. Will the outside line work and that drop down the hill momentum help the 19 stay out front as he races toward us? It will, down into 3.
It just looks like Jordan Coons is actually better to 3 and 4. I know we talked about his long run speed not been there all season, but right now he's really applying that pressure to Nick Miller to maybe not allow Nick Miller to save his stuff and, you know, maybe making Nick Miller use his stuff more, which might slow him down at the end of the run. But here goes Jordan Coons, maybe look to the outside this time to see if he can get a run. He's going to try to see maybe get a run off the corner and challenge going into 3 and 4. He looks like he's trying to do a crossover to try to peak, but nothing there yet. Doesn't really have a good run going in turn 3. They're going to play some blocking games right now.
Now you see the 99 going to the high side through turns 3 and 4, getting right up there in that middle groove here. I'm sure we'll start seeing these drivers get closer and closer to those seafoam green walls here at Homestead as the night goes on. But the outside line is Jordan Coons now laying the pursuit to the 19, while Brody Gardner watches in the 3rd position.
That was just one of those things where, you know, Coons had to go where Nick Miller wasn't, and obviously Nick Miller gave him the outside, so he sailed it in there. Somehow it's stuck. I didn't think it was with how the track is, and it's stuck, and now he's to the lead, and now he gets to control his race. I mean, he does look quicker right now.
Jordan Coons out front right now. The front 3 all championship contenders this evening. Brody Gardner in 3rd spot, but look just behind him. Your winner back at Iowa and 4-time winner this season, Parker White in the 95.
Are you surprised?
Oh, no, not in the slightest. Just simply pointing out that he's finding his way through this field here. Started and gained 8 spots so far tonight, already into the top 5, making quick work of the field, and now working on the 55 as they work down the backstretch.
Yeah, you know, we knew he was going to climb through the field, so that's also why these guys are battling so hard up front. They want to lead and maybe just gap themselves a little bit from Parker White coming through the field, but it doesn't look like, I mean, maybe Parker's not pushing his tires right now, but he's not going past these top 3 right this second. So, I mean, we know he's quick, we know he's going to have speed, but we've always said if you give Parker White the lead, he's not going to give it back. So you got to give him a little more, you know, got to make him use his stuff up more. So obviously, maybe they might do it here tonight because they definitely, you know, obviously these guys want to win and win the championship in the same night. That'd be great for them.
Absolutely. 4 wins for Parker White this season. 2 on road courses, 2 on ovals, winning at Indianapolis Road Course and Charlotte Roval on the road side of things, and a win at Texas and Iowa here in the playoffs. So 2 playoff wins for him. He's not even contending for the championship here. He's just running for the trophies and now sitting inside the top 5. Latham joins us behind him in 5th, and just behind that group, 6th place, Blaze Brinkley.
Yeah, we don't even see Sartaj Mann up here. The other guy in the top 5 in points, he's running back in 8th right now. I mean, obviously doing what he's done all season, running. He's pretty much, if we had an average running position, we could probably calculate on him. It's that spot right there. But then if you look at his average finishing, it's way up than that. So obviously he knows how to get to the end of these races. But like we said, he's going to have to do something totally different this evening if he wants to outsee Nick Miller.
Sartaj Mann, 5 top 5s in the last 6 races, including 2 third-place finishes during the course of that run. So he's been very consistent, but we've been saying it throughout the playoffs, and as these races dwindle down, you just need a little bit more. You need to push a little bit more, and just haven't quite seen that from Sartaj. 2 wins this season, winning at Martinsville just before the start of the playoffs, and that non-points paying win in the All-Star Showdown at Darlington.
Yeah, he's been strong this season. Definitely picked it up from last season, and it's incredible to see. Obviously, he quoted that he's lucked into some of his finishes, but you got to be there to get those finishes, and he's kept his car there, and obviously won at one of the harder tracks to win at, Martinsville, and you know, so he was able to outsee them over there, and you know, he's here in the top 5, so credit to him to getting him in that spot.
13 laps into our night here at the Homestead Miami Speedway. Jordan Coons leading the way here and may see a battle for the first step on the podium coming into lap number 13 into 14 as the low side is being championed by the 95 and the 55 forced to work on the high side here.
Yeah, as we watch this battle, the lights just clicked on this track, and the sun went down even more, so it's going to start getting darker, and we're going to start maybe see this track transform into something different as we see some of these guys already getting off that bottom line, and see Parker White take over that third spot.
So one thing I was watching during the course of that battle there, just seeing him slip through, how much pressure, if you're the guy on the outside, are you applying to the guy on the inside line to keep them from getting the momentum they need to get off the corner? When you talk about the term pinching, for those who may not follow racing as closely as some people who may be coming along here, is that kind of what you're trying to do? Just force that driver to have to let off and keep your car wound up as they slow down?
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, you got to really just not let them get that exit. That's really, like you alluded to, make them let off coming off the corner. So that's really what you got to do. But the problem with Homestead is just so wide that really you can stay on the bottom and exit out of the corner in the middle and be fine still. So it's just huge here. I mean, you talked about how this track used to be flat back in the day, and
oh, yeah,
now it's not. So it's definitely transformed, and they made it wide, and you can run all over this track. And you know, so it's a little bit harder to pinch here. And we see Nick Miller try to challenge for the lead. He's going to go to the outside of Jordan Coons. Will he be able to complete that pass?
I hate showing my age. I remember when they first unveiled the new banked track here at Homestead, a big deal, and now got a big battle for the lead, the 19, using the outside line to grab the position back, and our pole sitter will go back to P1.
Well, Nick Miller's really putting it on them tonight. He's showing that he's there, and obviously these guys got to figure out something. I mean, still a long race. Obviously anything can happen, but currently right now, Nick Miller is really putting it on them, and he lost the lead and he was able to get it back. So, you know, he definitely has the speed that he needs for tonight.
Inside the top 5 for much of the first dozen or so laps was Latham Joyner, still holding that position but facing pressure from Brinkley, another one of our championship contenders, looking to try and make a move here, and now losing some ground there to the 3 and trying to keep Sartaj Mann and company behind him.
Yeah, it looks like Latham Joyner got through the corners on the outside there perfectly to keep him in that spot and hold them off for now. They're friends, so I don't know how hard they're going to race against each other, but right now they're racing pretty hard to keep the spot, because it just looks like right now, unless you have a good exit or a good entrance into each corner or out of each corner, you're not. It's hard to pass currently. So obviously these guys are taking advantage of it when they can, and right there, the opportunity to present itself. We see a battle for second now with Parker White and Jordan Coons.
Working his way through this field effectively like knife through butter right now. Sailing up into turn number 4 and down the straightaway. He'll grab a position now up to second. Is Parker White setting his sights on fellow super driver Nick Miller?
Yeah, he's putting a pace on them right now that I don't know if Nick can really figure out what he's doing. I mean, he could play the air game, which we've seen a lot in the course of the season. We've seen Brody Gardner successfully do it, but, you know, obviously Parker's been quick whenever he shows up to these races, and, you know, last week winning. So, I mean, he done what he needed to do to get the wins and get out front. So we don't want to, you know, Nick Miller, he can afford to let him go, because he's really just, he knows he has that cushion. But obviously Nick wants to go out there and win, so it'll be interesting to see how much pressure Parker puts on him, and then how much defense really Nick puts towards Parker.
Well, it's special to be able to win the race and win the championship. We saw Cole Williams do that last season back at Phoenix, and it's just something special to be able to get both of those trophies and be able to celebrate winning a race and winning a championship. And I'm sure Nick Miller is going to try and do that here, but we'll keep our eye on that battle as we're seeing Brinkley go back at the 3 down the front stretch here and bringing some company with him, the likes of the 49 Sartaj Mann and Josh Kosick back in the 0-2.
Just Blaze probably saw that Sartaj Mann got around Josh, and he was like, oh, well, I got to get around Latham, because that's the one that I'm competing with in the championship right now. So obviously you don't want to lose a spot to someone that you're competing in the championship with. So he looks like he might, he's not clear of Latham yet, as Kosick has a moment coming off of turn 2 right there.
Absolutely. We got a couple battles going on here between the 55 and the 99 off of turn number 4, side by side for a moment there. And now looking to try and clear is Brody Gardner, the 99, maintaining his position on the outside line. And now they'll clear going into 1.
These guys have, they're 3 wide actually behind real quick. Not 49 and the 3 and the 98. Wow. That was close. I think some tempers are flaring right now between those two drivers, the 3 and the 98 going to that corner. But what I was trying to allude to with the 2 that were battling for third, I don't think there's any love lost between those 2. Do you think? Or maybe there is?
I'm certain there isn't. There's so much on the line here going back to what we saw happen at Iowa in the closing laps there. And I'm sure that every bit of pressure will be applied between these 2 drivers as they race through. Here, if you missed what happened back at Iowa, be sure to look at the replay here on the channel, and of course we're uploading these to YouTube as well, so you can go ahead and catch full race replays here on the channel and also on YouTube as well. And yeah, you'll see what happened and played out there. But these drivers now growing apart here as Brody Gardner gets up to the 3rd position, Coons back to 4th, down 1 spot from where he started. But Parker White now remaining in 2nd position, the gap about 2 tenths between the leader Nick Miller and the 95.
I'm actually surprised right there that Parker White really hasn't gotten to him and gotten by him, or at least attempted more of a challenge to get by him. So it's interesting there that he's kind of just been in that like 210 bubble as we see him get loose off of turn 2, which is crazy. We never see really many mistakes out of Parker himself, but saved it there. But he just kind of stayed in that bubble right there. He just stuck there, but they're still pulling away from 3rd and 4th.
Absolutely. Look at the lap times there. They were roughly in the same ballpark. Now Miller running faster after a bit of a wiggle off of turn 2 for the 95. About a tenth faster with the 19 over the 95. The previous lap, there was a little bit smaller of a gap between them, but they're maintaining pace and running faster than the cars in 3rd and 4th on back.
Definitely, they know what they're doing. And that's why they're 2 up front right now. But I'm very impressed with Nick Miller right now. And he, like I said, he's setting his sights on what he wants to get at the end of tonight. And he's making sure that in order for the rest of the competition to beat him, they're going to really have to be strong tonight. And we're seeing it here right now.
Absolutely. So still leading this race. The gap now 3 tenths of a second as he exits turn number 2. Is Nick Miller leading this thing, and then Brody Gardner pulling away from Jordan Coons for the 3rd position. And still seeing more battling back there. Josh Cossack engaged as they come off turn 2.
Like Sartaj Mann got a little loose coming off turn 2 right there, and Josh is going to take the position back from Sartaj Mann after Sartaj passed him several laps ago. Looks like Latham Joyner's falling off this pack right here, but for quite a bit there, they were having like a 2-by-2 battle, side-by-side battle amongst the 4 of them, and there was 3 wide at some point, and they're getting close quarters, so that was a pretty intense battle for quite a few laps, and definitely not the spot that Blade Brinkley nor Sartaj Mann probably want to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. And now as we settle into this run, 27 now coming up to 28 laps into it. I always ask this question. It seems like I always go to this point. I have to bring it up. When you're watching this, as we see the 95 go to the high side of the track to try and close the gap on the 19, when you have this kind of a run, especially with the closing laps of this opening stage, are you thinking that this may be one of these green flag affairs where it's going to probably be a long green flag run and you may have to make some pit stops here during this run as the gap really closing up between these 2 cars? It looks like the 19 is going to go up there and try and do the same thing. What are your thoughts on trying to adjust your strategy for a potential green or very long green flag run race?
Well, we obviously know the stage. We're going to get a caution. But after that, I mean, we could potentially see it. It really depends how hard these guys push on the restart. But, I mean, if it goes green like it is right now, they got to adjust how they get into pit road. This pit road, I mean, we talked about pit road, I think, quite a few times in the past few weeks about how tricky it's been and people making mistakes and stuff like that. But this pit road's not horrible to get into. It's horrible to exit because you got to take that exit, the access road out of the pit road. And I've tried it in practice, and it just feels like there is no grip down there.
As we watched 95, that camera angle giving us a great perspective of how close the 95 is getting to the wall there. Really just basically about to rip the paint off the wall here at the track. And you're seeing the drivers go up and experiment. It helped them close up some, but not fully. It's still about a 0.2 of a second gap between them. He's cut it in half from what it was. It was about 0.5 at one point. So now it looks like the experimentation is beginning, maybe trying to gain some intel here before we get to the end of the stage, or he's found something, he's trying to use it now.
I don't know. Now he goes back down to the bottom, not completely down to the bottom, but he's trying something. Definitely see him charging the corner a lot harder than Nick Miller. I don't know if that's going to hurt his exit, but he's maintaining the gap right now. But I don't know. He just seems like he's stuck right where he's at, or he's content where he's at right now, knowing that the race is still as long as it is, and he's just going to eye up Nick and really know what he needs to do later on in the race, because he tried many different lines behind Nick right now, and he really hasn't lost much to him. So definitely be interested to see later on in the race how the beginning of this race applies to that.
Well, we talk about the concept of maybe getting up there and seeing what the car is capable of, and he did go up there, maybe just wanted to see what the car could do, obviously longer into the run here, but see how speedy the car is on these old tires with knowing the caution is coming up, and then just reining it back in and saying, well, we have this information, this intelligence, let's go ahead and hang on to that and we'll use it later in the race. So certainly maybe some experimentation taking place from the 95, but the gap beginning to slowly increase back to where it was a few laps ago as the 95 gets loose off turn 2, now holding around nearly 0.6 of a second. And they'll touch that just as they enter turn number 3, and only a few laps left here on the stage.
Yeah, I think Park could probably use the boat.
Yeah, that's a handful right there for the 95 coming off 4.
Yeah, he's loose. Wow. I mean,
You
he
seem
might have burnt his
surprised.
stuff up. Yeah, hey man, I mean, I know he puts it all out there, but I think he maybe made those tires angry the past couple of laps, really trying to attack Nick Miller, and obviously there's the what happens when you attack the tires too hard. They don't like you for a couple laps.
Right, and we saw him searching around there trying to find something and figure out what the car could do, and like we said, maybe it was just some experimentation to figure out how the car will behave, and now he's got that intel. Maybe he'll put this in his pocket for a little bit later into the run when we get more darkness here at the track. But the lead is now 1.1 seconds for Nick Miller as he looks to win a stage here and get some more points in his pocket. This is a pivotal moment here in the race for Nick Miller.
Definitely a pivotal moment. It definitely would give him more of a cushion going into the end of this race, as Parker White once again gets loose off of turn 2.
He is hanging on to that car for dear life as they drive it down into turn number 3 to come back to the start-finish line here. And man, Parker White is just hoping to get some Goodyear Eagles once this stage ends.
Definitely. And definitely be able to eye up Nick Miller.
Absolutely. My goodness, as you saw him really hang on to that car, you would have thought that he was just having a different race here. Remember, they were 0.2 of a second separated a bit ago, and now the gap has grown considerably here as this run goes on. Fighting to hang on to that car is Parker White, but Nick Miller will take the stage here at Homestead Miami Speedway.
Whew, what a great stage.
And for Nick Miller again, pivotal points here, so go ahead. Obviously, that is entering tonight. The stats that you see at the top right of the screen, 9 points was the advantage for him coming into the race before qualifying or anything. Winning the pole, that's another point in his favor, so that bumps him up to around 10. And obviously, winning the stage, that's more points in his pocket.
Yeah, something terrible would have to happen to Nick Miller for... everybody else is hoping something terrible will have to happen. But definitely right now, how he's running, doesn't seem like he's slowing down anytime soon.
No, not at all. And now they'll get back behind the pace car and settle in here further through the stage. Parker White finishes in second after the handling issues he was running into as that run went on. Cody Gardner, Jordan Coons, Blaze Brinkley, the top 5. Josh Kosick will be in 6th. Sartaj Mann, Latham Joyner, Malachi Drake, and Noah Allison completing the top 10. And the drivers head on to pit road here. First pit stops of the night for these drivers here. And man, what a run we saw there. And you know, I'm very curious, what are they thinking as they come to their boxes here? The calculators are probably burning. They're probably preparing for the possibility of this race going green.
Yeah, definitely trying to maybe figure out how to adjust the car, like drivability of the car going forward, and when to push the car. Because we saw right there, 34 lap run, that's getting close to the end of the fuel run. So definitely be interesting to see how that all transpires.
Absolutely, and we'll watch this exit the pit road here to fight. Not much work for the 19 to do just to get to that the line there on exit, the green cone. having that first pit stall certainly helps the matter. He's first off pit road. Parker White out second. Brody Gardner, Jordan Coons, Sartaj Mann will gain a spot to get inside the top 5. And then Josh Kosick, Blaze Brinkley, the top 7 out of pits.
So now that these guys get a break, like you said, now there's only so much you can do with a fix-up lead. You can't adjust anything, but you can adjust your driving style. And I think they're using brake here because of how much you're going to slow down, so you can adjust your brake bias also. But that is pretty much it. It's really just about where you put the car and how hard you push the car. So now these guys are probably seeing what the tires are at and how much harder they can push or how much they can't push.
Yeah, and you already saw what happens when you kind of get up there and start pushing, and particularly next to the wall there. I think we want to keep our eye on what these drivers do as this run goes on, how much they're going to experiment with that outside, because Parker White just seemed really to get more unstable running that outside line after a few laps. So I'm certain that, again, if you talk about constantly looking for information, he'll look at that and maybe learn from it and figure something out, or the drivers around him see what he did and use that for their own knowledge. So you're constantly learning when you're behind the wheel of these cars, and if you're fortunate enough to have a spotter, or if you call him an F1 or race engineer, to watch the race, see what someone's doing, and perform analysis from their own experience, you can gain that intel as well. And I'm certain that's what's going on here. I'm sure there's plenty of strategizing happening behind the pace car right now, likely 2 to green here, so expecting the one to go signal next time by.
Yeah, expecting one to go signal, and I'm trying to do rough math in my head.
Take your time.
Difficult. A little difficult. I'm trying to figure out about roughly how long a fuel window is here with these cars, and I want to say it's probably roughly 55 laps. So I'll try to do 85% of that, and I'm thinking, if I'm doing all the math correctly, if we got just under 100 laps to go, it's probably 95, 94 laps to go. Can they make it a one pit stop race? We're looking. Some people are peaking. Nope. No one's thinking about topping off in the top 5.
Only one driver looks like they're coming in here. The 90 of Malachi Drake will make a pit stop under this caution as we get ready to get back behind the green flag condition here. They get 2 by 2.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to think to see, can they make it on fuel, like one stop race, one pit stop, or is it that close or whatnot? By looks with everybody staying out, it looks like it's not that close. So, like I said, I don't know how many laps. I mean, I probably researched how many laps the Xfinity cars can go at this track, but I want to say it's probably close, but I could be wrong.
Well, I'm sure they're crunching the numbers here and trying to figure out what that target is. We've always seen fuel strategy. Somehow, some way, fuel strategy always finds a way to creep its way into the races here. That's been the storyline of this season, not just the number of wins we've been seeing drivers get, the consistency of the drivers. It's been being able to be strong on the calculator as well. This will all begin to materialize as this run goes on. Getting ready for the restart here, Nick Miller starting in P1, Parker White second, Brody Gardner, Jordan Coons, Sartaj Mann top 5, Josh Kosick 6, Blaze Brinkley, Latham Joyner, Noah Allison, and Aaron Brown completing the top 10 as we look to get back underway here after Nick Miller was able to take the stage here at Homestead. Green flag back out here. We're back underway on lap number 40 here at the track. And getting a nice jump is Nick Miller in the 19.
Great jump this time for him. He was able to control that restart, got out front. Now it's going to be the time who pushes the hardest first and who hurt those tires first, I should really say.
Yeah, absolutely, because if you have a long green flag run, the thing you have to think about is trying to get to the end of that run and get to pit road and not lose all that time there. We saw what happened over the course of the run with the 95, so having handling issues as the night went on. Could that return again as this race goes on? Have the other drivers learned from watching the 95? Certainly we'll see how this all plays out. Battle for position behind, as you see the 02 dive into the inside on Sartaj Mann, and the 95 up high off the corner as well. Close battle coming up too.
Yeah, definitely close battle right there. Back looks like fit spot right there. It's like Josh Kosick's going to take it. Looks like going into turn 3. We have a battle for the lead now. Parker White looking up high, and he's making the outside work while Nick Miller just says, I'm going to stick it right here in the bottom, and looks like Parker's going to have a huge run here. Nick Miller going to block it. He is. And here goes Parker to the inside.
It's about closing the door from the momentum on the outside. He tried to do it there, but the 95 carried that speed to the low side of the track, and now they'll trade places in turns 1 and 2. The 19 up high, the 95 low. It pays off for the 95. He'll slide job up there, and the 19 will look to try and return to favor down the backstretch. as things get real racy between the 24 and the 90 just behind them.
You see everywhere on this track right now, as everybody has battles in mind they need to attack right now, and this battle for the lead is not going away. Nick Miller trying to take the lead back from Parker White.
Not able to close the door that time was Nick Miller. Now Parker White will grab the lead going down to turn 1, and the 19 will have to figure out what his options are to attack through the apex of 1 and 2. He'll look to the low side here, off the corner, climbing the track is Parker White on exit.
They get the nose there on the inside of Parker White right there, and Nick Miller's got to settle into second. How much more is he going to attack? He's applying the pressure, but it's like I said, like, how hard do you want to push those tires that early on?
Absolutely. Now Parker White out here leading this race, has gained the most positions in the race so far this evening, nearly a dozen to count so far, and now trying to pull away from the drivers here in the Redline Racing Cory Harts Media Premier Series in at 95. Been a great season for him. He's found himself in this position multiple times, earning the most positions gained in a race so far. No stranger to it. 4 wins so far this season.
4 wins, and that's only with just a fraction of the schedule he's ran and a fraction of the races that he finished. So usually when he finishes the race, he's up front battling for the win. So we see here tonight, and obviously Nick Miller and Brody Gardner and Jordan Coons are probably going to all apply pressure, and you know, mistakes can happen. You still got to, you know, pit road and everything. So anything's possible, and when you pit, you know, I don't know how hard these guys are going to attack pit road. You know, I've seen a lot of, we know Parker White can attack pit road pretty hard, pretty quickly and in an aggressive manner. So obviously mistakes can be made that way, but we got to wait and see. I mean, these guys only ran 34 laps on tires, so you got to figure they probably have to at least go another 10, 15-ish more laps on tires to get in their fuel window. They got to really make sure these tires last if there's no cautions.
Absolutely, but right now out here leading this race still, Parker White. Seeing some mini battles back here just behind them, 55 and the 99 engaged in a bit of a duel a little bit earlier. Now that's cooled down a bit, and Josh Kosick sitting inside the top 5. A good run for him, 46 coming to 47 laps in.
46 laps in, and everybody still likes that bottom. Doesn't look like anybody moves around until about like halfway through a fuel run, so gotta wait another maybe 10 laps until we see that happening. As I say that, some of the guys go to the middle of the track and then migrate down to the bottom. So there's definitely different ways you can attack the track going into the corner, and we've seen it here by several other drivers. And even we saw it as a leader doing the same thing, enter in like kind of a lane off the bottom and then bring it down to the bottom. So where the likes of Nick Miller is just hugging that bottom line. So it paid off for him in the beginning laps of this race. I wonder if it's going to pay off going forward.
Absolutely. So now they're going to settle into this long green flag run here to give us a chance to talk about what happened last race back at Iowa Speedway. You know, not unusual seeing this driver go back to victory lane here. Parker White getting the win back at Iowa Speedway, just over 0.4 of a second ahead of the driver who's back in second position here tonight. Nick Miller ran in third, Brody Gardner. So your top 3 as they run right now, the same as they finished back at Iowa. Sartaj Mann finished 4th at Iowa Speedway, and Blaze Brinkley completed the top 5 there after late race caution and situations that broke out there. And yeah, that's really what we can say about that. Certainly some things broke out there. Long green flag run coming to an end with a late caution, and we saw the action really ramp up there toward the end, but Parker White victorious to get his 4th win this season.
White was quick last week, showed speed. It took him a little bit to get to the lead, not as early as he did tonight, but definitely took him a little bit. But yeah, you talked about action last week. We had long green flag runs just like tonight, but unfortunately at the end of the race, mayhem broke loose, and it just, honestly, the whole entire field just did like a complete opposite of what they were doing the whole entire race, and it really shuffled up how the outcome looks coming into this race.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see the battle for the 3rd position begin to tighten up here, the 99 closing up very well through the entry through apex of turns 1 and 2, now on the back bumper of the 55 as they head down into the backstretch toward turn number 3. Seeing a little bit more speed up here in that car right now. Looking at the last lap times there, everyone pretty much in the same ballpark. Look at Gardner and Coons running faster than Miller and White out front.
I think they're just racing really hard to try to outbeat each other, and that's making them use their tires and probably run quicker, but will that hurt them? later into this race. It could not. It really depends. I mean, I haven't really, in my eyes, figured out a line by watching these guys that saves tires. Obviously, everybody's running the similar line, a bottom, but I haven't really picked out like which driver's doing it better, because it just seems like these guys are just following the guy in front of them and trying to just make the best time possible.
And I think one of the things to talk about is like Parker had a connection issue there. We'll see if he's able to blink back in and join us for the rest of the race here. What I was going to allude to and maybe ask about is when you look at this track and try and figure out, when you're conceptualizing it, what track is this place similar to on the schedule that you maybe could see similar behavior in terms of maybe tire wear? Is this more like a Texas? Is it more like a Chicagoland? How do you think this track is similar, as it looks like Parker White having some significant issues here and may have allowed Nick Miller to re-inherit the race lead?
He lost connection, if I'm not mistaken, cause he's leading, so I don't know what would have happened there. But as far as a track similar, I'm trying to think to a track that we raced this season that's similar to this, where track position is key and it's eat your tires, but it's a smooth track. And the only thing I can think it compares to is something similar is when we went to Vegas. You've seen it there, pretty much predominantly like one groove, two groove track, nothing crazy, but it was smoother track, because Vegas is kind of smoother. Because I can say Chicagoland or Atlanta, but it's just so bumpy. But I want to say tire wear wise and how these guys are driving the track, I want to compare it maybe more towards Vegas.
Gotcha. So I'm certain that's probably what they're thinking about here, trying to compare their notes to how they approach that track and apply that knowledge here, as we got a battle for the third position right now. Just joining us, the ticker doesn't lie. We had Parker White out front here, and then unfortunately connection issues striking the race leader, and he's unfortunately out of the race here. Nick Miller back out front. He's your pole sitter tonight. He's leading this race again with Brody Gardner and now Josh Kosick up to the third position, as Jordan Coons finds himself in a bit of trouble here, facing some pressure from a driver running for a good finish and one of his fellow championship contenders.
Yeah, I'm actually really amazed by Josh Kosick. I mean, I seen him racing along in the first part of the race, just riding with, his buddies and, around a few of the guys, not really up front, but right now, what are we, like 15 laps into his run, and he's driven his car up to third, so that's pretty impressive, and we have not seen him, I don't think, at all this season, so great to see him on track and having a great run so far.
Yeah, good run out the O2 there, as we saw the battle for position just behind him. Jordan Coons, Sartaj Mann, and Blaze Brinkley, three of our championship drivers, all right around each other. And you know who this kind of benefits here? Again, Nick Miller, he's trying to drive away here, knowing all these guys are in traffic and engaged with one another, allowing him to try and pull away here to lead now 0.5 of a second, heading down into turn number 3.
Leads 0.5 of a second. Brody looks like he has speed to keep up with him, and now that he's in P2, can he do something different? We know, obviously, as this run goes on, we're gonna have to get into, okay, when do you pit? How early do you pit? And the question is, can you short pit? And will it pay off? So obviously, all decisions going on in everybody's head. And last run that we had, Brody was off Nick Miller by maybe like 2.5 seconds, so he didn't lose too much time to him. So obviously, with him being in second right now, I really think Brody can maybe approach it a little differently than the last run we had, because he was in third, fourth majority of the time. So if he could keep it relatively close, it will definitely be interesting as the drivers head to pit road.
Yeah, absolutely. And Brody Gardner knows how to run on these 1.5-mile tracks this season. He already has 3 wins on this type of configuration, winning back at Chicagoland Speedway, at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and also getting the victory here in the playoffs at Atlanta. So these intermediate tracks fit his style, but the commonality between those tracks is they're kind of that tri-oval configuration, not this oval layout that we're running here at Homestead Miami. So obviously a little bit different how you approach this track to those, but also knowledge does translate in how you run these intermediate tracks. They generally do have some similarities and little nuances like this track has in its layout compared to the tri-ovals he's won it so far this season. But he's been incredibly consistent on those 1.5-mile tracks.
Definitely, and he's shown his speed, and he's shown how he can control air. We've seen it at, I think it was Atlanta, where he just controlled the air when he had a tougher competition come behind him, and really be able to hold them off. And obviously, you know, he knows how to finesse these cars when he's out front. It just obviously, unfortunately, this final round has been a little unfortunate, I want to say, for him. Not that it was difficult for him, it's just unfortunate circumstances got into this spot where, you know, we've seen it. I think, what, 3 seasons in a row? I could be wrong, that the most dominant car of the season didn't win the championship. Not saying that he can't, but it's becoming a lot more difficult now with Nick Miller being in the lead and leading all these laps and the stage. But we've seen it. The dominant car, for whatever reason, in this series, whether it's the Cup car or the Xfinity car, just finds a way to have trouble at the end of the season.
Yeah, we go back to what we saw last season with Dylan All on a tremendous run for him. 9 wins in season 4, 14 career wins. So obviously racking up the W's there for that car, but ultimately not able to contend for the championship last season, coming up short there toward the end of the playoffs, and ultimately we saw Cole Williams win the title there. And again, the driver has been so dominant in the season, facing some headwinds here, and you mentioned kind of those issues being compounded on the fact that we're seeing Nick Miller do what he needs to do here, which is rack up those points. Really, that was the assignment for all these drivers, and clearly Nick Miller has understood that assignment, getting as many bonus points as he can. Obviously, winning the pole award, that was a valuable point in his pocket. And then not only doing well in the stage, but winning the stage. So maximizing his points potential so far in this race, and now leading and continuing to add to his total, trying to get even more in his pocket right now.
So, I mean, like you said, he's been doing incredible. And, you know, I want to say, also quote myself, well, quote on what I said about dominant drivers not winning the championship. We've seen it in when Derek Smith won the championship. When Derek Smith was dominating and he lost the championship to Brody Gardner, it was just one of those things, man. It happens, and then mistakes are made, or the competition just gets better. I mean, that's what it is. So, I mean, you know, anything can happen. And while we were talking about all that, we actually had maybe an unscheduled pit stop at the 90 who topped off last caution, came down pit road. This is way early for someone to come down pit road.
There he is now at the back of this group coming down the front stretch here. So definitely it was interesting to see him come back down to pit road. He pitted right before we went green there and made a stop on lap 60. So he's trying something here, maybe thinking outside the box. We know the 90, we know Malachi Drake likes to experiment with different strategy, and certainly trying to do that here. Looks like potentially that 90, so we'll keep our eye on him. Currently running in the 8th position, up 1 spot from where he started the evening.
Yeah, and just looking at his lap time, just him pitting after starting 25 laps into this run, he's running a second, over a second quicker than the guys in front of him that haven't pitted. So obviously the tires do fall off, but I don't know what strategy it is. I don't know if it was unscheduled because something happened or because he has no damage on his car. I just kind of confusing. And one guy that actually fell off in this run is Jordan Coons, who's back to 6th. So I don't know what's going on there either.
Yeah, seeing Jordan Coons fall back a little bit there, now into the clutches of the 3 of Latham Joyner, who really has ebbed and flowed through this race and just got a little loose there right in front of the 90 of Malachi Drake. Hung on to it toward the high side of the track. But as we were alluding to, Jordan Coons just fading back from this group here after jockeying for some of those podium places early in the race, and just having a bit of struggles here as this run goes on. And, you know, the thing about the pit road here is we get closer to what could be green flag pit stops here. Could be the next dozen or so laps, or even a little longer. You know, this pit road has a tendency to really stretch out this field even more. So we already see these guys pretty well thinned out. Looking at Jordan Coons here, he's about 5 seconds back of race leader Nick Miller. But with that access road, the long entry into your pit box, because obviously the drivers are way down toward the second half of pit road here, and then the exit road, the access road off of the pits back into the track at turn number 2, as you see there. That blue cone represents where you merge back onto the track. There's so much time that can be gained or lost here, and that could be a pivotal part of the race too. Who is able to get on and off pit road and maximize not just their travel time from entry to exit in the physical pit road itself, but those 2 access roads as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of time to be lost, gained, and a lot of mistakes have made also. So, oh man, I wouldn't want to be a driver trying to put everything on the line, trying to get through pit road and off pit road, do all that, and then something go wrong. It would just, it wouldn't be a good feeling at all. But definitely a lot of mistakes that can be made here tonight, just pit road alone. So, be interesting to see how hard they do attack it, and maybe Nick Miller can build up a sizable lead to where maybe he can be a little cautious going on the pit road so he doesn't make any mistakes.
69 laps into our night. It's a nice run there for Nick Miller in the 19, doing well here leading this race. Started on the pole, running in first position, and Brody Gardner in the second position. And like I said, you talk about pit road, and we know how tricky that pit road can be. Let's flash back to 2004 and Kurt Busch and the dramatic moments he had trying to get on pit road and losing that tire, nearly hitting the water barrels there. But he didn't, missed it by inches, and was able to go on to win the championship in the 97 car. That shows you how much pit road could transform your race and even transform your championship hopes.
Yeah, definitely. That was, gosh, now you're making me feel old. I know I think I made you feel old early in the night, but that right there, just thinking about that, yeah, that was a crazy outcome right there, because I think you narrowly missed the pit road wall, and I think got lucky that the caution came out because the tire fell off his car, and then still ended up winning the championship. So, yeah, crazy circumstances there, and maybe had the tire not fell off, it would have been as close as it was, but the fact that it did and almost hit the wall, yeah, crazy.
Definitely. So gotta be careful getting on pit road, not only in real life, but obviously here on the sim as well. And certainly we'll be watching to see what these drivers do here, because that's something that really I pay attention to. We're talking about that travel time on pit road, and when you're dealing with these access roads, you gotta maximize the time here, but there's so many little factors that you have to think about when trying to get on a pit road. We'll see what they can do here, but right now the lead becoming larger for Nick Miller. It's now 1.2 over Brody Gardner. The pace continuing to increase here, and looking at the lap times, last time by, Nick Miller is still the fastest right now with a 35.48, and then back to second position, a 35.65 for Brody Gardner.
Yeah. He's the fastest of the guys that don't have new tires. Malachi is definitely running a second faster. We saw him pass the leader a few laps ago, but yeah, definitely Nick Miller's showing his strength and showing that he has long run speed too, and taking advantage of whatever happened to Parker White and with leading this race. So now he's obviously the leader. The question becomes now, lap 73. I think we're coming up on the longest run of the night shortly. When do they pit? Is it a two-stop pit? I think it is, because Jordan Coons is on pit road.
So they pit now. Jordan Coons on pit road, bringing the 99 in for a green flag pit stop service, and we'll see what he's able to do here and maximize his time in the pit to get the service he needs and be able to get back out onto the track here. He was falling back in the field as that run went on, and we'll see if he's able to rebound and maybe find some more momentum here and speed as this run goes on.
Interesting development, because he's splitting this up into thirds, that by my calculations right there. So that's interesting. So they do have to make two pit stops, and maybe Malachi got in his window to where he short pitted and gonna try to take advantage of the fresh tires when he can.
Nick Miller doing a bit of a samba, getting a little loose there off of turn number 2, hangs on to it pretty well, but it did help Brody Gardner cut into that lead ever so slightly, now back down to 1.3 between himself and that Chevrolet just behind him. Josh Kosick maintaining third spot. He's about 3 seconds behind Nick Miller, so holding steady in the pace here. But as you mentioned, Jordan Coons maybe taking a bit of a different strategy here and making this a two-stop race and portioning it into thirds.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuel is. This is why there's a big question here. Like, can they make it on two stops, or one stop? And in order for them to do that, I do think they have to hit, my calculations are right, probably lap 85, another 10 laps at least, maybe more, maybe lap 90. Yeah, 90 they would probably have to hit in order to be in their window. So questions arise. Can they make it on one stop, or do they want to go that long on tires?
And then the other question is, what does this do if there's a caution? What does this do for the drivers who opted to come down to pit road? Is this a situation where you're hoping that there isn't a yellow flag at this point to try and get back in cycle? Because we know there are some tracks where we can play this differentiating strategy and be able to be safe enough that everyone will be forced to come in and you actually can gain as a result. Is that the situation here? Will drivers need to hope this run goes a little bit longer to kind of get themselves back into position here, because they're kind of going off into their own strategy here?
Oh, I think Malachi, he got back on a lead lap, so if a caution falls, he really doesn't lose where he was running, which is beneficial for him. Jordan Coons being a lap down, he would get the lucky dog, but obviously put himself in a hole, losing a little more track position. So they probably want to see it run green, let the older guys pit, take advantage of the little track position, let it run green maybe for 5, if a caution were to fall, 5-10 laps longer after the guys pitted, and then a caution fall, get that track position from the guys, and then everybody gets tires. So I think they want it to fall that way, but who knows? Who knows what happened? I mean, last week we had a crazy long green flag run and caution fell. So it can happen.
Absolutely. You see there on the screen, last time Nick Miller and company were on pit road was lap 36. That was a stage caution that racked everyone back up, and that's the only caution we've had so far this evening, and we continue to run under the green flag condition. The front 6 drivers have all lasted on pit road back on lap number 36.
Yeah, as we've seen, Jordan Coons trying to get by Josh Kosick to go past with on the fresh tires, so Jordan Coons trying to get back on the lead lap, passing the slower cars with the older tires in the front pack.
As he cuts his way through the field here, give us a chance to talk about Jordan Coons. While he faces a bit of an uphill battle, him and the rest of the contenders here at the track, as Nick Miller really puts on a clinic in how to run this track, he's had a good season here, even with some of the challenges he's faced in the playoffs here. It's been a great season for him. 8 top 10s in the last 9 races, winning at Dover and getting 18 top 10s, which leads the drivers this season. It's been an incredibly consistent year for him. So even if things don't materialize the way he would hope for them, still a strong season for that 99 team.
Oh yeah, definitely. And he's switched teams this season, mid-season. He's definitely done a lot and definitely progressed a lot since I started seeing him race. Because remember when I didn't even know who he was, and then he started racing with us, and he's definitely progressed a lot through the Truck Series and through the Xfinity Series. So he's had a very, very strong season and nothing to hang his head on. You know, he's definitely done what he needed to do to put himself in a position, and obviously I know he's looking forward to next season also.
Absolutely. I'm so excited about next season here. We showed you guys the schedule earlier, but we'll go ahead and show you the kind of the upcoming races that'll be coming up here over the next few weeks here. And it'll be a month off before we get back going. We got the Clash at Daytona, 50-lap exhibition race, and then of course we'll have the season opening Cory Harts Media 188, 75 laps at Daytona International Speedway to decide the season opener. And we saw Gaetano Pappalardo go to victory lane there. A tremendous start to his season. Who will find similar success in that regard? And then further down the schedule, you'll see Atlanta Auto Club and Chicagoland. Those previous 2, Atlanta and Auto Club, kind of what we used to see back on the NASCAR schedule early on, where you go to some of those tracks like Atlanta and Auto Club pretty early on in the season. We'll be doing that here in the month of March, a very busy month of March. There are 5 races over the course of that month.
Yeah, 5 races, that means 5 weeks or more. So yeah, that's definitely a long month. So definitely gonna be busy and a lot of action gonna be happening. And anybody that's out there watching this that wants to get in on the action, because we're open obviously for new drivers that come in. The month that we're off, we'll be hosting recruitment races. So I want to throw that out there too, to be hosted on Thursday night. Same time we run the broadcast and the race weekly. So look for in the hosting session if you want to join and come. You know, just race with some of the drivers. I'm sure some of the drivers will come out and race because they're used to racing on Thursdays. So definitely come out and have some fun.
And definitely already looking toward the playoffs here, even though we are literally still waiting to crown our series champion for season 5. Go ahead and mark your calendars, guys. The playoffs begin for season 6 on June 30th at Talladega Superspeedway, where we saw Benjamin White go to victory lane there, kind of raining on the parade for those playoff drivers, snatching up one of those victories there. We'll see what happens when we go there in June, but we got to get through Daytona first. So a lot to look forward to after we go on our season transition break and come back in March with the Clash at Daytona. Right now, 84 laps in, Nick Miller still leading this thing now. The lead out to 3.2 seconds. That 19 has found something there. Is Martin Truex Jr. behind the wheel at this point?
I don't know. Or maybe Nick had been listening to the streams as of late. Because I know we did say coming into the playoffs, he'd been kind of like, where's he been winning? And then he kind of shut us up with all the top 5s and top 2s he was getting. So maybe driver swap. I don't know if that's legal, but it says his name on the door, so I had to assume it's Nick Miller.
Well, he's been very consistent here in the playoffs, just coming up a little bit short at some of those races. We know he bounced back from what was a rough finish back at Talladega, where Benjamin White went to victory lane, but finished that up with a great run at Richmond and following it up with another great run at Texas. He's been incredibly consistent so far this season, as I mentioned earlier in the race. 4 podium finishes in 8 races. So when you look at his body of work in the playoffs, he's finished on the podium basically half of the races this season. And outside of Talladega, the season opener for the playoffs, it's been pretty consistent for him here, and now turning it on when he needs to. The last time he's been to victory lane was Nashville Super Speedway, which was, if I'm not mistaken, right around the time of the All-Star break, maybe just before the All-Star break there. So it's been a while since he's been back to victory lane, but it's not because he is not been contending for the champion for wins. It's just been situations where we've seen other drivers be just a little bit faster there at races that he has been right there inside the top 2 or top 3.
Yeah, definitely, and he definitely put his work together the past, I want to say, month and a half, and whatever he did as far as maybe practicing or data researching on how to maybe drive the car differently on some of these tracks. I mean, scheduled up, posted all season long. Maybe he was just focusing on, if he could get to the playoffs, he'll run well, and I mean, he's done just that.
Brody Gardner heads into the pits here on lap number 88 for him. We're seeing drivers begin to file in. Could this be the drivers trying to make this a 1-stop race, maybe? Who knows? Or is it still a 2-stop race? What's your calculator saying over there?
Well, let me get it out. Hold on. You got to give me 1 second. I didn't have it ready for you to quiz me real quick. Can't do math on top of my head. But if we just do that right there, that was roughly 48 laps since we went green. So you want to say probably maybe 49 laps they ran with if you include the pace laps, includes, so...
Everyone's coming in here as well. So we got Nick Miller also following Brody Gardner in as he leaves. Josh Kosick, Blaze Brinkley, Sartaj Mann also making stops here. So it's the busiest pit road has been since we took the stage caution.
Yeah, definitely. And by my calculations, it seems like they can make it. Seems like it. By a couple laps. Yeah, by a couple laps.
Gotcha. So right now we're seeing the fuel strategy play out here. So if we go back and make note of some of the drivers we saw come in really early into this run, that's one of them right there. Jordan Coons pitted on lap number 72. Even earlier than them was Malachi Drake, who is just behind the 99 there. He pitted on lap 60. So we've got a wide swath of strategies here in terms of the last time these drivers were on pit road and how they're approaching this final run to the finish.
Definitely. I'm interested to see how that one lap that Brody Gardner pitted before Nick Miller turns out. It doesn't look like he made up that much ground, but he definitely made up a little bit, but Nick Miller's still out in front of him.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, just a very interesting situation beginning to develop. So you see there, last on pit road for Jordan Coons, lap number 72. As he mentioned earlier, last on pit road for Malachi Drake was lap 60. And then he had a bunch of drivers on pit road the last couple of laps here, led by Brody Gardner came in first. But right now on the track, Nick Miller is ahead of Brody Gardner as they come back down the backstretch.
A lot of different strategies. Trying to wrap my head around what the first two that pitted are doing, because my calculations say that the guys can make it, but I also could be wrong too. So, who knows? I have no clue.
Yeah, we know how these teams are when they're in their Discord chat, they're in their team speak, they're discussing the strategy here, and we start to see some drivers actually mirror each other's strategies too, and they'll say, well, look, we'll go into this together and try and figure out this is going to work, or trust me, this is what our number is, this is our target, let's try and hit it, we can make this move. And I think we're seeing that play out here now, where drivers are reaching their window, and they all came in here, and I think it was interesting seeing that flood of cars come in, very busy pit road right around lap number 87 and 88. And we saw those two outliers, they're pitting on lap 72 and 60 respectively, but Jordan Coons leading this race here as a result. he'll likely have to come back in, you'd think, right?
My calculations say yes. He has to come back in, and unless he's trying to two-stop this and think that two stops will work better than a one stop, I mean, quite possibility, but I don't know. I'm shrugging my shoulders. I have no clue.
And what could play out here is something along the lines of, say, Jordan Coons pits, and yes, we know that they're running these calculations very tightly. They're running their caps, they're running their sim racing apps, or whatever software they use to keep track of this and doing old-fashioned just get the calculator out and do the math. The other side of it is, if they start to reach a point where they're encroaching on that number, say we see the 99 pit here and come back out, the 99 may not have to worry about being reined in to try and save fuel. He'll be just full tilt, able to go, and thus apply pressure here, as we're now seeing change in position. Malachi Drake making his way into the pits here, and now move Nick Miller and Brody Gardner up to second and third, respectively.
Well, that solved one of my problems in my head when they were going to pit. I mean, that turned his final stop right there. So now we know what Malachi's doing. But like you said with Jordan, I mean, you're correct. I mean, he could pit and not have to, not have to worry. But at the same time, like, how hard can you push those tires to make up all that time when you pit? It's going to be difficult. Definitely going to be difficult. Unless a caution breaks out, I mean, who knows? I mean, that could quite possibly happen.
You see the gap there between the front two drivers, and you have to go way back to get to Josh Kosick there, back in the fourth position, and Blaze Brinkley completing the top five. So we're seeing pit road behave the way it normally does, really further stratifying these guys on the track and putting them across this campus here, this 1.5-mile track. There's cars pretty much passing over it constantly because they're so spread out right now. And your leader out front by 5.7 seconds, and that lead is continuing to dwindle down right now as we approach lap 100 and only a few laps.
Continuing to dwindle down. I mean, Nick Miller is 9/10 of a second quicker than Jordan Coons, or second quicker a lap. So it's going to be in a couple laps before Nick Miller gets to his back bumper. So I'm trying to figure out, when Jordan comes down. I mean, Nick Miller pitted at lap 88, so it's been 8 laps since he's been on tires. So, I mean, Jordan's gonna have to run a little bit longer and let them use up their tires more for him to really have a real advantage on new tires.
As we mentioned earlier during the pre-race coverage, we'll talk about the performance of these drivers on the track, our Championship 5, and just look at how they've done this season. And when you look at that graphic on the right side of the screen, you see how strong they've been. Brody Gardner, 7 wins this season. He's got a road course win there at Watkins Glen, but the rest coming on ovals. And some of those been commanding wins, going back to, for example, Lucas Oil. One of his dominating performances there really stood out to me. And then you see Nick Miller, 3 wins this season. Blaze Brinkley, a couple of wins. Richmond and Myrtle Beach. And then Jordan Coons winning at Dover. And Sartaj Mann, 1 win, but there's an asterisk there because he actually has 2. He won the All-Star race at Darlington, but that was a non-points paying race, which doesn't count, obviously. That's a bragging rights race, and he survived what was watch that race if you want to see some insanity. Check out what happened in the All-Star race earlier this season. But in any case, when we look at these drivers, they are just some of the best drivers we've had so far this season, and part of what has been a tremendous run. 12 different winners as Jordan Coons makes his way into the pits here on lap number 98, which will give the lead to Nick Miller here. 12 different winners. That breaks the league record of 10 from seasons 2 and 3.
12 different winners, and how many races we had this season?
This is race number 25.
12 different winners in 25 races. That's almost half. It's been pretty impressive with the amount of drivers got wins this season, and actually a lot of new drivers got wins. Benjamin White never won before. Landon Mills never won before. Gaetano Pappalardo never won before. So some notables that they had their first ever win in Redline Series did it, and that's pretty much what led to 12 different winners this season.
Absolutely. So congratulations to all of our winners this season, and we still have one more race to decide here at Homestead. You saw the battle of pit road, the 19 going by the 99 as he was exiting the pits here, so that'll put him a lap down as they run right now, but he is the first car 1 lap down in the current running order. Nick Miller still leading this race, coming to lap number 101. Brody Gardner not too far away. The lead right now 1.3 between those two drivers.
Yeah, Brody really hasn't been able to apply any pressure to Nick Miller, which is, if you look at his stats and what we showed just with the wins and where he's won at, it's kind of surprising because I thought he'd be able to maybe attack a little more, but just doesn't seem like he has that little extra edge over the competition that we've seen in races where he's won at.
And we talked about it a little bit earlier. I alluded to the fact that he was so strong at these intermediate tracks, 3 wins at intermediate tracks. You saw the list there a little bit earlier, but those tracks have similar commonalities to them. They're kind of that tri-oval style. They're rougher to kind of run. You're talking about Atlanta, you're talking about Chicagoland, and then obviously, Charlotte is its own monster in itself, as you now see the 55 faces some pressure from a fresh tired 99 down the backstretch. Even still, this track runs a little bit differently than those tracks, and you're seeing him run strong, but Nick Miller just has a little bit more. That's something right now that Brody Gardner just has not been able to try and track down here. And as the runs go on, he's able to hang with him, but the gap begins to climb as those tires fall off for him. But still, a tremendous season, just missing that little bit more here at Homestead.
Yeah, missing that a little bit more. He hopes to rebound next season and still search for a second championship. So now, he would be the only one in this championship 5 that was looking for a second championship in the Premier Series. So he was trying to do it. Obviously, circumstances haven't been falling his way like we spoke earlier, but nonetheless, a great season for him and incredible season. I shouldn't even say great season, and it's incredible in itself. And 7 wins. I mean, that up there with almost the most wins in a season out of one driver. You talk about like Dylan Alt records, and so I mean he definitely done a great job.
Absolutely. Now looking at the 99 going on the outside of the 19 here to get himself back on the lead lap. He is at the tail end of it as a result, so a lot of work to do if he wants to get back into the race lead here. He gets right up there next to the wall off the corner, and Nick Miller will let him go as we're on 105 here, and we continue to run. It's going to be a very interesting finish here. We'll see how it plays out, but the 19, easy street for him. The lead now back up to 2 seconds over Brody Gardner.
Yeah, he really hasn't left that bottom all race. He's been keeping it down there, maybe except for a few passes he's made, but aside from that, he's been really hanging it down the bottom and getting right by that white line. He really just, riding it in the center of the track, the center of the corner, and then just letting it calmly float off the corner. And it's been pretty fast for him. It's probably a lot he's doing inside the car to get his car perfectly down there and not burn up the tires at the same time.
When we talk about the performance out of the 19, we've been alluding to the importance of bonus points here. So when we do the math, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, so obviously gaining a point for getting the pole award here, fast lap for him, a 33.81 in qualifying, and then winning the stage there, at least tentatively here. So is that about 11 points so far?
That's 11 points. I think he also led the most laps so far. So if he successfully does that, which I think no one else could take that away from him, that's another point. So you talk about 12 points right there.
That's a tremendous gain here. We talked about Sartaj Mann, for example, considering coming into this race how close he was entering tonight, 9 points outside. How vital it was going to be for him to try and get some of those points, and I don't want to say prevent or stop someone from doing something, but obviously ensure that your competition doesn't get those points. And instead, we've seen Nick Miller, the points leader entering tonight, really put on that clinic and rack up those bonus points here and really make them his own. And he's trying to just get a clean sweep of everything he can possibly get here right now.
One of the most dominant performances we've seen out of any driver this season is up there with Parker White, what Parker White's been able to do, what some of the races that Brody Gardner's been able to do. And Nick Miller really, I mean, I had no question that he can come in here and really put it on the guys and make it hard for him. But, I mean, he's really made it hard for them. And he looked really unstoppable. Like you jokingly said, is Martin Truex Jr. in the car? I mean, it sure hell seems like it, because he's running away with it like we've seen in real life Martin Truex Jr. done at some tracks.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we go back to was it Charlotte one year where Martin Truex, you pretty much could have walked away in the daytime and came back at night, and it was still Martin Truex Jr. leading for hundreds of laps in the Coca-Cola 600.
Oh, you want to talk about? I was sleeping during that race. I mean, it was kind
Gotcha.
of,
I came back for the highlights and I saw he was still out front, so I'm like, okay, cool. But right now, still out front here leading this race is Nick Miller, Brody Gardner, settling into second position, and give a call to Josh Kosick. Has really been strong there in the O2 and continues to run strong, holding on to the final step on the podium.
like I said, he hasn't been here all season, but I mean, it seems like he's been racing with these guys all season. By how he's racing here tonight, and he's not a big car, big track type of guy either. He's a short track guy. He's run pretty well, kept the car clean, and obviously, like you said, in the podium, and obviously he wants to bring it home there.
Yeah, and I got confirmation of that from my boy Lucas, letting me know, yes, it was Martin Truex Jr., who led all but 2 laps in that Charlotte race, the Memorial Day Coca-Cola 600. So I was pretty sure that was the case. I remember it was summertime and Truex led everything, so it was a foregone conclusion there. But Josh Kosick, again, having a good night out here, and look forward to seeing what he does when we go to next season. If he joins us, we normally see him piloting some cars out there for different teams at restrictor plate tracks, serving as one of those hired hands, if you will, to support the team effort at the restrictor plate tracks.
He's one of those BHR affiliates, or I think he's still with BHR, so that's with Blaze Brinkley. So we look to see them have a full fleet of vehicles back next season, and obviously with a lot of new guys, maybe possibly in the air, and some returning, strong guys coming back. I mean, next season with the schedule how it's laid out, I hope it's definitely a great one.
Yeah, a lot of great races on the schedule. I'm looking forward to going back to COTA and seeing the drivers tackle that track. We had some great racing around that track as well that we saw, and I love road courses, so some great courses on the docket here as we watch Blaze Brinkley, who's had good success this season, 2 wins, including a win at Richmond in the playoffs. He's been incredibly consistent over the last 8 races, finishing 11th or better over that time period, and right now sitting in the 4th position, as we said with the other drivers, as Nick Miller continues to try and just snatch this championship into his hands. Blaze Brinkley, another good season for him, one of the few drivers who's been able to win both in the regular season and the postseason.
Yeah, definitely one of the few drivers, and Blaze, flew under the radar. I picked him as my dark horse in the championship, and he's definitely been that dark horse, and then he's had a solid season. This final round has been nothing but problems for him, even though he got a top 5 somehow last week. The past 2 weeks we've seen computer issues, connection issues with him, put him in a hole early in the race, and just put him in a spot coming in this race where he's just out here collecting laps and hoping something happens, and it didn't pan out so well. But he definitely had a great run this season, and looks to build on that going into the off season.
One of the big talking points for us with Blaze Brinkley was his stage performance. It was a time where you would just pretty much expect to see the 98 out front with 1 to go on a stage, and he was the winningest driver when it came to stage victories, 6 of those this season, and he also got 14 top 10s with those 2 wins. So a very good season for him. Used those bonus points to get himself into the position he finds himself in, running for a championship. May come up just a bit short here as it runs right now, but no matter what, a tremendous season out of the 98. And an interesting stat there as we go into next season, him being so proficient in the early goings of these races, I think he may work on making it be a total approach, having a strong opening stanza and getting those stage wins, but also bringing it together at the end of the races.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, he locked up the most stage wins, even though it's only 6. We only have 1 stage, so 6 stage wins. That means in 6 races, he was the guy leading at that point. So, he definitely won that category, and if he could just put races together completely, it'll definitely be hard for him to be beat next season.
Another driver who has had a good season here and just finds himself a little bit in a hole here trying to win himself a championship is Sartaj Mann. And I wonder if we talked to Sartaj and asked him if he felt like when we left Daytona months and months ago, did he believe he'd find himself in this position to be running for a championship? And I'm curious what his thoughts are, but he's made his position clear that he's part of this thing, and he got the one win back at Martinsville, building on the non-points paying win at Darlington, and has over a dozen top 10s to his credit and 60 laps led. So it's been a good season for him, but I'm sure he probably wished he could have gotten a little bit more to be able to put up this fight. But he came in here swinging and tried to find something, but Nick Miller really just came in with a little bit more to this fight here tonight.
Yeah, definitely. And Sartaj Mann, he'd been all around smooth driver all season. You know, like I've said several times during the season, the one thing he lacked on is probably getting those higher up stage paying points. He's gotten them, but like, you know, he finished 8th, 9th in the stage, which at some points, but you're compared to people getting 10 points, it really does hurt. So, you know, maybe he learned on something, and next season he bring that force like what Brinkley had, going out and really putting some pressure on guys to get some more stage points going into next season. But all around, I mean, he definitely had a solid season, and he's been there. He's been there every single race. At the end of the race, we somehow drag him in the booth, and he said, "I don't know how I ended up here. Luck, pure luck." That's his famous word to say. He does luck a lot this season. So, but that's what you got to have in order to be here at the end of the season and to fight for a championship.
15 laps to go here at Homestead. The last time this season we'll profile our clean race finishers, presented by Year One Custom Flip Flop Company. And you see Parker White back at Iowa grabbing that award and gaining 10 positions on the track while doing so to finish in first position, winning that race. And the driver currently winning tonight here at Homestead, he got himself on that board as well, finishing second, keeping it clean, and gaining a spot while doing it. 80 incidents among 13 drivers. And of course, when we have beginning this at the end of this season and going into the next season, when we have a top clean finisher to profile here, it'll be presented by Year One Custom Flip Flop Company.
Happy to have them on board to be able to hear their name said. So great to see them joining us. And yeah, there's a note on that race. Before the last caution, it would have been like about 35 incidents among all the drivers, but
right at the end, these things happen right at the end.
Yeah, I mean, it became a little chaotic, but yeah, we would have had maybe one more driver on that board, but unfortunately, things happened and it got a lot more mayhem happen at the end of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like a Malachi Drake on pit road extended stop for him there in the 90 and sitting in the 8th position. We'll see if he comes back on the track here, but Jordan Coons, the only other driver on an alternative strategy, still sitting in the 7th position. He's about 28 seconds behind Nick Miller, 2 seconds behind Latham Joyner, so trying to track down to 3 to maybe grab 6th position here.
We see him trying to grab 6th. I mean, he made it up at least one driver, but definitely something fell off when it seemed like when the transition of the track changed, he just didn't get a handle on the car, and it's unfortunate, but I mean, he gave it his all trying something different. But we might be seeing a battle actually heat up here shortly for a 3rd spot. Blaze Brinkley's trying to close up on the 0-2 if Josh Cossack got it down to a 2nd behind. Josh has been quicker than the guy ahead of him, Brody Gardner, but Brody's just a little too out front for him to get there. So we might see a battle here for 3rd shortly.
Yeah, slowly closing the gap up here between the 98 and the 02, and we'll get the telemetry up so we can see the lap times here. See how close they are on the scoring monitor. Josh Cossack last time by only a fraction faster than Blaze Brinkley. Last time, though, Blaze Brinkley was faster by a whole 10th.
Blaze found something at the end of this race, and the little determination to get a podium. He's trying his hardest right now. He has 11 laps to try to track down one of his buddies in the 02.
And one thing to keep in mind and kind of make note of there when we look at those lap times coming across the line to receive 10 laps to go as Nick Miller, the fall off. I mean, talk about fell off. We're not just talking about someone's YouTube or Twitch career. We're talking about these lap times. 33.81 was the pole time for Nick Miller. We're now running 35.78 last time for our leader right now.
Yeah, and that was 33.8 in daytime. So imagine what they would have been able to put down in this track condition. So definitely the pace has fallen off. And I mean, if a caution does fly, you bet these guys are taking tires.
Oh, absolutely. There's no question these guys will try and get their hands on some tires here. It's been a long time for these drivers. The last time they've been on pit roads, most of them right around lap 88. We saw most of this field come into the pits. Nick Miller being among that group who came in on lap number 88. Brody Gardner came in on lap number 87, along with Latham Joyner. So really most of the field in that same window here. Jordan Coons now the only driver on an alternate strategy. He came on pit road lap number 98 as we saw and watched him enter the pits there. So really now we're looking at these drivers and look at this lead for Nick Miller. It's now up to nearly 8 seconds. There really is no need to push for the 19. Really just probably riding this thing out here, and certainly will help his fuel cause if that's even a consideration right now, that concern of making it on fuel.
Yeah, I was just saying, if he does have any issues with fuel, I'd back it down. You have 7.5 seconds to use it wisely.
Yeah, definitely here. So coming to 7 laps to go, and man, again, as I said when we were about to take the green flag, it feels like we just started this season. I remember kicking things off at Daytona and working through the new look, the new technology here, and I appreciate everyone being so patient trying to get that stuff off the ground to give you guys a great product. And I think when we look at the racing here, we've had some great products for racing as well. I think personally for myself, one of my favorite races to watch was running at Indianapolis Road Course. I know that race kind of got stretched out there, and we saw Parker White go to victory lane ultimately there in pretty strong fashion, but we saw field strategy play out. We saw some great door-to-door racing. We saw some bumping and banging, and we got to run on a road course. You know, I personally love road courses, so there have been so many great races here. I think Auto Club is up there as well as one of those great nights of racing here on the channel and this league. And the story continues here. 6 laps to go, 6 laps away from crowning the Season 5 champion.
It's been a long, I don't know how many months, but definitely up there. So we got to figure out like 25 weeks, and then add in all the other maybe off weeks we had, and the All-Star race, and then the Clash that was doing. So you're talking about a half a year we've been at it. It has been wild racing and great racing. And at the last month and a half, 2 months, we've had these long type of runs, and it has been incredible to watch different strategies, and hopefully just all that momentum and everything just transitions into next season.
Yeah, absolutely. When we talk about next season, what is the race you're looking forward to most on that schedule that we saw earlier?
Track we have yet to be going to, that another
LA
series
Coliseum. Oh, never mind. Go ahead.
I haven't even tested. I bought it today, but I ain't even. If there's anything that goes on in that track, it might be an exhibition thing that we do outside of this league. But as you see, Nick Miller got into the wall. Oh, Jesus, I was talking about that. I mean, luckily he had a big enough lead. I don't think it'll hurt him that much, but he did just get in the wall, so he's not holding back at anything at all. But track, I want to say Bristol Dirt. I have no clue what's going to happen there. And
Oh, God, yes. I mean, when we took the trucks there, there was just so much action around that place, and it just brings out a different breed of driver. You start seeing those, you really find out who secretly is running the Dirt Series on iRacing when they're doing kind of different things during the oval weeks, because there are those drivers who find their way into the top 5 on those dirt tracks, and like, okay, all right, well, we'll keep our eye on you there. So that's definitely be a good one there when we head to do some dirt track racing at Bristol Motor Speedway. That'll be a 2-week stint there. We'll be there for the dirt race, and then we'll stay there for the asphalt race the following week.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it in iRacing and get the dirt off the pavement that quick, but hey, they do it really quick for us.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. 2 laps to go here at Homestead, leading this race by a healthy margin, the healthiest of margins. Nearly 10 seconds is the lead for Nick Miller, as he now has about a lap and a half before he can call himself champion. And those tires look angry out there, but I'm sure if he's able to take the white flag here and then the checkered after that, it'll be all the more sweet to be able to call himself a champion here and also a race winner. And there's, again, something special about winning the race and winning the championship at the same time. Coming across the start-finish line for 1 to go, presented by Cory Harts Media. What can you say about Nick Miller? It's been a great season for him. A strong start, winning those opening races there, getting victories early on at Phoenix and Bristol, quietly running consistent throughout that time. I go back to his great run at Loudon and a couple of tracks leading up to his third win at Nashville Super Speedway. And then going into the playoffs, incredibly consistent for him. 4 podiums in 8 races, and now looks to make it 5 in 9. And the most important podium of all, the win here at Homestead. Congratulations to Nick Miller winning here at Homestead.
What a dominating performance out of him. He just tried to do the drift going into 1 and 2. Wow, what a performance out of him. That was, man, he put it on them and then some.
And with that tremendous finish there, obviously that means he is now crowned the Redline Racing Cory Harts Media Premier Series Season 5 champion.
No questions at all that he's the champion. So kudos to him and kudos to the team that he had behind him.
A spectacular run there for the 19, and now he'll celebrate on the front stretch as many champions have done at this track over its career as a venue for champions. I've watched my own driver in real life win here and celebrate a championship, Tony Stewart, and now the 19 gets to do a virtual burnout as he wins the championship here in season number 5.
What a performance.
He really came in here and just took this race by stranglehold, just took it and ran with it and was not going to be denied.
I mean, he put a whooping on them, let me tell you.
Absolutely. Sartaj Mann joining in here in the celebration on the front stretch. Sartaj Mann, one of those Nebula Esports cars.
Wow. What a performance out of him. And just, what he was able to do. Incredible.
Absolutely. As we transition to our post-race coverage and continue to watch Nick Miller move around his track, he will start bringing in drivers to hear from them and get their perspectives on the end of this season. We'll run through your top 10 as we finish tonight's race. Brody Gardner finishes in the 2nd position. Blaze Brinkley finishes 3rd. Josh Kosick, a great night for him, finishing in 4th. And Sartaj Mann will conclude the season with a 5th place finish, building on what's been a great chain of races. Jordan Coons will finish in the 6th spot. Latham Joyner 7th. Malachi Drake Parker White, after leading a healthy number of laps there. Right before we saw the long green flag run after the stage caution. Unfortunate disconnection will drop him down to 9th. And Noah Allison completing the top 10. And then Aaron Brown finishes 11th. So great night of racing here. We'll start talking to our drivers here and get their perspectives on the nights. And of course, we'll bring in our champion, Nick Miller, and we'll go ahead and start doing these driver interviews and hear from the driver of the 49, Sartaj Mann, that Toyota getting another top 5 finish and a strong finish to his season here. And we'll get his thoughts on the race and his season. Sartaj, do you got us?
Yeah, I got you.
So talk to us about your night out there and your thoughts on the season as we sunset on our season 5.
The race was very mediocre. I mean, I don't think a top 5 was an achievement. It was really just bottom 5 of the people that finished the race. But yeah, it was a good season overall, though. Hopefully I got 3rd. I don't know if I got 3rd or 4th in the points, but either one of those. So overall, it's a good season for me, and yeah, it's just been good.
So I want to ask you, so when we left Daytona and began this season and got underway, did you envision yourself being part of this championship battle all the way down to tonight's race at Homestead?
Yeah, yeah, I'd say I would have envisioned myself doing that, yeah. Pretty good in these cars, I think. Yeah, I'd say so.
So season 5 is about a month away. Of course, we'll have the Clash and then the season opener at Daytona. What are your hopes and goals for season 6?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna race that much next year. It'll probably be part-time, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm expecting for next year at this point.
Gotcha. Well, you have been an incredible driver. It's been great having you in the booth so many times this season. You've been one of the most consistent drivers out here in the league, and it's been a pleasure getting to know you over the season. And be it full-time or part-time, hopefully we get to have you back here in the booth soon. Anyone you want to shout out or mention as you enjoy another top 5 to conclude season number 5?
Yeah, I just want to congratulate Nick on the championship, and nothing other than that.
All right. Well, always good talking to you, and congratulations again on a great season, Sartaj.
Yep.
All right, we'll keep moving through our interviews here. Josh Kosick will go ahead and be brought into the booth here. A great night for Josh Kosick, part of the picture from much of the evening, and got himself a top 5 to boot, mixing it up inside the top 5 much of the evening. Driver of the O2, Josh Kosick, do you got us?
No.
So talk to us about your night out there. Top 5 finish for you. Seemed like the car was pretty good for you throughout the night. How was it? And talk about the finish here, and maybe if you're joining us for season 6, what do you hope to accomplish in the season to come? Excuse me.
Yeah. The car drove pretty good, honestly, for an iRacing setup. I've literally never driven the B car at Homestead, got in the practice, and we were probably about 2 or 3 tenths off most of it. Qualified fourth, and I mean the guys back at the Brinkley after racing shop just put together a good piece in the race, and we were able to just hang right there with them.
So tonight was a pretty quiet night, I'd say so, as we look toward the next season. What are your thoughts on the next season? Could we be seeing you a little more often, or are you sticking to more of a part-time schedule for season 6?
I think I'm gonna try and run it full time most of the dates that I can make. Balancing that with spotting in the Coke series, and then running Road to Pro. So we'll see how the dates shake out and see how they land. But I mean, next season after that, that gave me a big confidence booster. Honestly, that's the first race I've ever really put together in a B car. So I mean, definitely heading into next season with a lot of confidence.
So I heard you mention Road to Pro. Seems like more drivers are getting involved in that. For those who may not know exactly what that is, what is Road to Pro, and how does that interface kind of with the, I guess, the Pro Series here on iRacing?
So your Road to Pro stuff is your trucks, and then you run that. There's round one that's eight races long, top 70 in points out of all the guys who run that. Go to round two. Then from round two, which is 7 races, you go to the Pro Series, and top 20 in that go to the Coke Series.
Gotcha. So we wish you the best of luck as you prepare to embark on that journey. And, anyone you want to shout out or mention as you enjoy a good top 5 run here. Good to see that O2 running well out there inside the top 5.
Yeah, big shout out to Blaze Brinkley and all them guys back at BHR. They definitely helped me out a lot. Blaze just weekly help. I mean, he's probably the biggest guy that gives me most help on the sim. And then JD Laird for always making these things look sexy as hell.
I was going to
Excuse
mention
my
that was a
French.
that was a hot looking scheme there. Who's the painter behind it? You want to shout him out?
JD Laird at JDR Graphics.
Gotcha. That thing looked good out there, and it looked good in 4th place. So congratulations on that, and we look forward to seeing you out there if you join us for season number 6. And wish you the best of luck as Road to Pro gets underway.
Thank you.
All right, we'll keep moving through our interviews here, and we now get to the podium and start talking to our drivers who were on the podium steps here. The first driver who's on that podium is the driver of the number, I lost count here, the driver of the 55. We'll bring him in here now since we already had him because Michael can't read. We'll bring in second place finisher Brody Gardner and talk to him and get his insights on the race, and then go back down a step to Blaze Brinkley, who finished 3rd. But first, Brody Gardner, driver of the 55 Chevrolet, talk to us about your race and your thoughts on the season here and your aspirations for season number 6.
I just didn't have the pace. Nick had a really, really good tire saving throughout the whole run, just got me after like 20 laps. So props to him on winning the championship. I didn't do what I needed to do the last 2 rounds, but it's hard to come back from a hole like that. Yeah, extremely disappointed. 7 wins and regular season champion, and led throughout most of the playoffs. Just to have it all fall apart in the last round. Sucks to get second, but could be worse.
So as you look back on your season, I know there's a bit of a dejection there, but you went out there and really kind of turned your performance from season 4 on its head this season, going out there not just winning a couple of races, you won 7 races, and you weren't just getting out front toward the end of the races, you were going out there and just grabbing these races and leading hundreds of laps. Talk about how that feels, and can you take that momentum into season 6?
Yeah, it feels good to do that, but I don't know. leading laps doesn't get you a championship. Guess winning 7 times doesn't get it either, and that was the goal for this season. So yeah, it's awesome to be able to do that and um, grab those wins and grab those laps led. But overall, um, still not too ecstatic.
Well, certainly understandable. And again, I just congratulate you on a great season you have had. And I hope that you're able to bring that momentum forward into season number 6. A lot of great tracks on the schedule, some returning one that you found a success at over the course of this season. Before we let you go one last time, is there anyone you want to shout out or mention as you enjoy a runner-up finish here this evening?
Shout out to everyone that stuck around throughout the whole season. We only had like 10 guys, maybe a little more, run this race. So shout out to everyone that stuck around the full season, stayed loyal to the series. Shout out to Mills Designs, new rebrand. Go check them out. Great paint schemes. All the guys at Nebula Esports, all rock stars. Most of them raced this season, so I'm happy I was able to race with them. Shout out Cody for putting the league on, giving out a good payout, and you for broadcasting the whole season. It's been fun watching the races back.
Excellent. Well, we always appreciate the opportunity to give you guys a good show, and I appreciate Cody for hanging out with me here in the booth. I think he'll be joining you potentially next season out there on the track, so I look forward to seeing what you guys do, and I'll be hopefully having a rotation of individuals in here to call the racing alongside me. So again, congratulations, Brody. It's been great getting to know you through these interactions in the booth, and also a few times or two behind the wheel of the car in the Daytona iRacing 24 hours a few days ago. So again, congratulations, and look forward to seeing what you do when we head over to Daytona for the season opener.
Thanks.
All right, we'll keep moving through our interviews here, and we'll grab this driver who we meant to bring in a moment ago because Michael can't read. He clicked the wrong thing. Blaze Brinkley, driver of the 98 Ford, getting the 3rd position. Another podium finish for him. He's been incredibly consistent through these playoffs, just a little bit short in the end here, but it's still a great season with those 2 wins. Blaze Brinkley, do you got us?
Yeah, I got you.
So talk to us about your night out there. I can hear a little bit of a dejection there, but still a good season. Talk to us about your night here at Homestead and your thoughts on the season overall.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of did everything in my power. I didn't run the best tonight, but still ended up 3rd. I was decent on the long run, thankfully, but really just my internet kicking me out the past 2 weeks just kind of did away with any championship hopes because I feel like both of those weeks I could have finished top 3 and definitely finished 2nd in points at least. I don't know about Nick beating him, but I feel like we could have at least had a shot.
So when you look back at your season here, you got 2 wins. You're one of the few drivers in the playoffs, Championship 5, to win a playoff race. Look at your season overall. What do you think of your performance? You showcase that speed you always have on those short tracks. What do you think of your season here, and what are you looking to maybe improve or find a little bit more of going into season 6 if you join us?
I just gotta get better in the very beginning. It's hard for me to get home straight from work and get on and be that fast right away, but that's just where I hurt is qualifying and starting up front. I think would make my job a lot easier.
I'll ask you an interesting question I've kind of just haven't asked the other drivers to give you something different. For you, what was your favorite race this season? Is it one of your wins? Was it one of your top 5? What race, when you think back on your season, are you most proud of in terms of performance?
Um, it'd probably have to be Myrtle Beach. Getting in, I didn't test a single lap. Got in, qualified outside pole, and led just about every lap. And won that one. That was pretty dominating. And I just love that racetrack. I raced there in real life for about 3 years, but I just love that place.
You seem like you really knew something we didn't when we were going there. You found a way around there. I think you even moved your way through traffic at one point to get back to the lead. So you put on a great show there, and look forward to seeing you do that again when we head to season 6 and different tracks on the schedule. And that's still a month away, so you get some time off here to relax or take part in other things. But before we let you go, is there anyone you want to shout out or mention as you enjoy another podium finish here and conclude the season on a strong note?
Yep, just GHGD reps for keeping me looking good.
You always look good out there, and congratulations again. And we look forward to seeing what you do when we head to the Clash and the Daytona race to open the season.
Yep.
All right, we'll wrap up things here with our driver of the hour, the driver of the 19 Supra, Nick Miller. 4 wins this season, including the most important race, winning here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Nick Miller, your Season 5 champion. What are your thoughts here as you enjoy this championship and take in the moment of not just being champion, but also the race winner here tonight?
It feels good. Going into the race, really did not want to choke it away like I did the regular season lead that I had. So to take the commanding lead early through this 3-race series, and then I guess you could say dominate at the end, was really just like a standing point for how the season went for me.
So let's take us back in time a few hours to this race here, and really from qualifying on forward, you seem like you just had this mission to grab up every possible bonus point you had control to get from the jump. So you were able to get the pole, and then you were able to get those stage points. At what point did you feel like the weight was beginning to lift off of you in terms of pressure on you to try and close out this championship tonight?
Probably once we got to the stage, once I had the plus 10 points, I think I had it locked because of the little card count or card field, whatever you want to call it. Uh, once that was once I had that, I think I had a pretty big enough lead. But I was trying to go for all bonus points, but I think Brody got the quickest lap there on the after the pit stops. So we almost got it all, but Brody got me on that one point there.
So, talk about your season here as we wrap things up. So, you won those early races at Phoenix and Bristol, went a little bit quiet, but still was right there in the thick of things early in the season, then get another victory at Nashville, and then things were quiet until tonight when we went to Victory Lane. So, you weren't out of the picture in terms of not winning. You were always in second or third in a lot of these races. Talk about just sticking to your process, even as you were coming up just short when you'd say you have a Parker White show up or other drivers just take away that trophy you're trying to fight so hard to get.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like the mixture of like a rookie Chase Elliott and a second year Chase Elliott with him getting some wins and then the constant second place finishes. Um, the biggest thing is we were really consistent and kept our name up there even though we weren't winning to build our point lead there throughout the regular season and the chase. And before I forget, I do wanna. You asked me last week about what would I rate myself, and I said, Give me a week. Let me finish this race off. I'll give you an A. I rank myself as an A.
I think it's a solid A.
There's a couple races I definitely could have won and I didn't. So that's where the plus is missing on those races.
Well, you've been incredibly strong out here, and your ability to go out there and just really take this championship by the reins at the end and make it so be insurmountable for drivers to be able to close up here. How does it feel to call yourself a champion here? I'm new to broadcasting for Redline, so what is your championship pedigree? Is this the first one for you? Have you won championships in other leagues? What's your background here on iRacing?
I've had the opportunity to get championships from other leagues, but I never completed it. So this is like the first one I guess for me for all the leagues. And I hate to follow this trend, but I think for next season we're gonna follow the championship trend and probably go part time just to create space because I'm going to college next year and Road to Pros coming up on Thursdays. So
I'm
can
just gonna
try.
call it. I want to call it the Nico Rosberg kind of thing. Just you get your championship and then you just dip. You just step away. You don't completely leave like he did from F1, but you do stick around. And we look forward to having you join us for some races. And we've seen our champions do very well when they show up to these races. We've seen Cole Williams put on great shows here, and I expect you to do the same when you transition to part time. But you're running Road to Pro as well. So what are your goals and aspirations for that?
Just start continuing the top 70 trend. So I guess we're gonna just run consistent in whatever split we run and try to aim for top 70 to get to round 2.
Gotcha. So, as you know, before we let you go, who do you want to shout out or mention as you enjoy not just the race win this evening, but the Premier Series Championship?
The team is building strong for, as I said, Road to Pro in about a month. Landon Mills for the paint. he got me set up on the next gen, and we're about to get the truck ready too. So look out for him if you need paints throughout the road for a season. He's a really good painter, I suggest. And shout out Cody for putting up the league, as always.
Awesome. Well, always good having you here in the booth. Great getting to know you over this season, and wish you the best, not just in your sim aspirations, but in life as well. And congratulations from one champion to another. Congratulations on the title, and look forward to seeing what you do when you join us again. Hopefully, we'll see you at Daytona in a month, but whenever you join us here in the Premier Series.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, that'll wrap up our interviews here. And Cody, it's going to wrap up our time here in the booth together as well. We know you may be transitioning back down to the racetrack. So, one, I'll ask you, how excited are you to be able to get back behind the wheel of the car and start racing again?
I'm excited. Somebody's got to go part-time, and I get the chance to win. Serious note, I don't know. I mean, I ran the one race 2 weeks ago to really get my feet wet to see where I'm at compared to these guys. Ran competitive, so the top guys were the top guys. But going into next season, just be open-minded, take what you can get, and have fun. That's what my plan is. It's been 5 seasons so far. I don't even think I ran a Premier Series, ran for the championship at all in the Premier Series. So it's been my first attempt. So we'll see how I do. See what consistency I can bring, or if we go to my Truck Series days, lack of consistency. Well, no, I guess there was consistency there because I was finishing in the back all the time. Okay. Well, anyway, besides the point. Just learn. That's the whole reason why I'm doing it. Just learn more. I miss being behind the wheel, and Thursdays are really my nights where I can go out there and potentially behind the wheel every week. So definitely gonna be able to do that. And this season was great. Obviously, you know, we had transition throughout the whole entire season as far as who's the best. We've seen the guys that were the best all season. We've seen like the third and fourth, fifth guy kind of swap several times. Who going to be there, who's not going to be there. But just hearing from what some of the guys say, some of the top guys say that some of them might run part time, and I mean that means possibly maybe more different winners out there, and might be looking like a whole new set of guys. Which, hey, I'm all game for. I'm definitely excited to see what happens in probably 5 weeks. Yeah, 5 weeks from now. So yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be great, and hopefully I do well. I wanna make everybody proud.
Well, we'll certainly keep an eye on you while you're out there, and hopefully we'll have a rotation of different people in here in the booth to continue to enhance our coverage here of the series going into, which should be our, oh my God, I've lost count. Is this our third season or fourth? I've lost count at this point. Third season, I think, of covering the Premier Series here, and I appreciate the opportunity to do that for this series, and hopefully the product continues to improve, and I can continue to deliver a good show for not just the viewers at home, but the drivers to enjoy once they finish their race and are able to relax and watch the broadcast and learn a few things about maybe what they did or what their fellow competitors did out on the track to get better as the season goes on. So I appreciate being able to serve as the broadcaster for the series, and look forward to being back for season 6. It feels like I just started a year or two ago, and here we are.
Flies, let me tell you.
Yeah, pretty much. So with that, we'll wrap up things here. A great night to crown a new champion. Nick Miller winning 4 races this season, including the season finale here at Homestead Miami, and making himself the season 5 champion. We'll be back here on March 3rd for racing action. We'll have the Clash at Daytona, 50 laps in the exhibition race to kind of get things going for our season. And then we'll have the Cory Harts Media 188 at Daytona International Speedway, 75 laps to kick off the start to season 6. So again, congratulations to Nick Miller for being our season 5 champion, and congratulations to all of our drivers who have found success this season, everyone who took part, and thank everyone for watching. We'll have streams intermittent of different things until then, but the racing will pause for a moment. We'll get together and get the new look rolled out. Hopefully everyone likes the new look. It was easy to read and see, and we'll go from there. But again, congratulations to Nick Miller